Hello, everyone. I'm Allison, and welcome to my weekly Meltdowns coverage of Survivor Winners at War. This is our finale recap, and with us tonight is Brent Wolgamott from RHAP. Thank you so much for joining us, Brent.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for having me. I am happy to be here talking some Survivor, and it's not often that I get a chance to do it, so let's go.
So excited. I just want to point out really quick the elephant in the room.
Go ahead.
I know Denise didn't win. Oh, wait, no, that's not it.
The poop hat that Tyler is being forced to wear because I once again had the winner in my picks.
Yeah.
Tony won, and I've been saying all along he's going to win. This is no brainer. It's not rocket science. The guy's gonna win. No, he's not. He's not. So we made a bet. If he won, I bought him 2 poop hats. He's got 2.
Yeah. Quarantine got in the way of the first one. But
yeah.
Boy, thank God Amazon's still kicking.
I know. Thank God, right? Yes, I do have to say, Allison, you were right. You picked the winner once again. And here we are. Now we're talking about Tony Vlachos as the next 2-time winner of Survivor. How do we all feel about it?
I feel fucking amazing. How are y'all doing?
I feel great.
Yeah, I'm totally fine, happy that Tony won. He obviously was dominating the game, and if they weren't going to get him out, that's on them. That he did
like
it.
What Rob said when he was voting, he was like, Natalie, you came back, and I said I was going to vote for you if you did everything right, and you didn't. You should have gotten this guy out.
Which I hate. I
don't like that either.
I absolutely hate that because this is the reason why I hate that, because he's turning what should be a massive victory for Natalie in her Final Four immunity win, the final immunity win, like the crown of all crowns, the thing that has defined so much of Survivor. She wins it. It is a fantastic moment for her, and he turns it from a crown into a poop hat, where she now is being anchored and weighed down by the fact that she
won.
She's expected to give it up.
Right.
Is that the world we live in now?
Well, it's 2-pronged here. One, this is Chris Underwood's fault, 100%, because they would have just left watching.
Is it Chris Underwood's fault? Because I feel like we owe so much of what happened tonight to Chris Underwood. Like fact that, like, it's like there's so many prongs here. Like, I mean, the fact that he won, there's so much blowback. And by the way, good job, Twitter. There was so much fucking blowback over Chris Underwood's win that I really felt like a lot of these winners felt a lot of pressure not to award the winner. Like Jeremy even said beforehand, which is hilarious considering he voted for Natalie, that the winners should not award somebody who was the edge of extinction comeback person. Right. So I feel like in some ways, like, we owe a little bit to the whole thing that happened about Chris Underwood. Like, Chris Underwood had to happen in order for Natalie not to beat Tony here. But I
agree. But what I'm trying to say is, like, I think that what happened is Rob and a lot of other people, but especially Rob in this situation, probably saw what happened and said, well, Chris went and gave up his Final Four immunity and made fire against the biggest target. How come you didn't have the same kind of gall to do the same thing? So I think that there was that. And I also think that this is my problem with the fire making challenge. What it basically does is eliminates the nobility of winning the final immunity, because it comes down to, did you make fire and get yourself into the third spot or not? And what that basically does is give more praise and props to people who, especially like Tony and Ben, who wouldn't have been voted into the final 3 if there wasn't immunity idols or anything like that. They didn't win immunity. They didn't get to the final 3 in past seasons. This is my problem with fire making. So that's why it's 2-pronged for me.
Yeah, well, I'm with you. I feel like they should just do 3 fire making challenges. Like have the Final Four up there, randomly draw. You get to make fire again. Like Allison gets to make fire against Tyler. Beth, you get to make fire against me. whoever wins our respective challenges gets to go to the finals, and then the losers of each one, you guys get to go for the third spot. Like, seriously, if you want to do it that way, just do it that way.
Yeah. It's way too much. And not only that, but Natalie had a really good explanation for why she didn't go into fire making. She said, I wanted to prove that I was the one that came in and decimated this alliance that took over the entire merge. And that's exactly what she did. But it's not good enough for Boston Rob.
No,
it's so frustrating.
Because she did try to get him out. She put him up against Lucina, as we are supposed to refer to her now. He put Tony against Lucina, and that was the outcome.
I don't know. I think it would have been a bigger competition to put him against Michelle, because clearly she was like so much better at making it fire.
Right, but apparently she threw like such a fit that even Michelle admits that she threw a fit and she didn't want to go into it. Like, again, I don't understand, and these people have all won $1 million already. I don't understand their view of things, or Michelle is like, okay, I can challenge Tony in fire and have a fantastic moment and maybe win over the jury, because I haven't had a lot of defining moments so far, okay? And she really didn't like that when she was talking to Gordon today. I don't know if you guys watched that interview, but Gordon and Holmes talked to her over webcam, and Natalie apparently went to Michelle, and she was like, Michelle, I'm going to have you make fire against Tony because you don't have a lot on your resume. Basically was telling Michelle she didn't have a chance to win, which Michelle didn't really like. So Michelle threw a fit about it, and then Michelle wasn't in a good headspace, and so Natalie put Sarah up against Tony. So that's the order of events of the way things happen.
Which I think is unfortunate, because I really do think that Michelle might have garnered a few points if she had done it. And sorry, Allison, I cut you off.
No, you're fine. I was just going to talk about how I almost had a heart attack during the fire making contest when Sarah, I thought she was going to win it because her flame was getting really high and Tony's was still really small. And I was like, oh my God, no.
Tony had it right, though. It's not a height contest. It's about like building like a strong, solid base. And
I know, but I thought it was about.
I know, but Allison, that's such an illusion. Like, I just want to warn you guys for the future, because this is going to come up every season. Like, the people that what Sarah did there was she took all the husk, which burns really bright, really fast, really strong, but it is not going to burn strong enough, hard enough, long enough in order to burn through the rope. It'll give you a fantastic event. Okay, but it's like a flash in the pan, literally, and then it's going to go back down, which is what you saw. So when that happens in season 41, and somebody who you don't care about is like almost ready to win because they stick all their husk on it, and then it's like, ooh, it goes all the way. Like it's literally like a guy who pops a heart on, and then it's like, whoop, like it's just, there's nothing to it. Okay, there's nothing there.
I watched, I admit I didn't watch the whole season, but I watched the first couple episodes of this past Survivor Australia All-Stars. And that is exactly what happened in the first immunity challenge for the two tribes, is that one tribe put all of their quick burning things on top first, and then the wind kicked up, and then it couldn't get enough strength to build up. That's exactly it. I mean, at the end of the day, I thought that the episode was trying to drop hints that Tony was going to win the fire making contest, because he was like, so I went in the woods and I built a fire, and like then they show him building a fire in the woods to look for an idol that he doesn't find. Like, why put that in the episode if he doesn't find an idol? I think that they were just trying to subliminally show, look, we can build a fire,
Oh, sorry. You were referring to the fact that they showed him looking for an idol. You showed him looking for a fire, or trying to build a fire.
I think that what I'm saying is like normally they'll show people looking for idols if they find the idol, or if there's some kind of.
I totally disagree. I loved this because I was hook, line, and sinker. I thought that Tony had found the idol, and I was going to be so fucking pissed. I was so mad about it, and I think that's what they wanted us to think. Like they wanted to build.
But what I'm saying is, like, I think that there's hints in the episode that like show, like, why show him making the fire, not instead of just like looking for it. You know what I mean? Like, I think that they wanted to show like Tony can make a fire.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And Brent, I really love your point of like the editors really blindsided us as the viewer, because I went into that scene thinking like, oh, God damn it. Like, he's going to win another idol. And this is how he gets to the end. Like, it's so frustrating. And I want to hear you guys' thoughts, because I think that there should not be idols re-hidden at Final Five.
Well, obviously not. I feel like with like that is just something that I think we all can agree on, except for Jeff Probst. Jeff Probst is the only person. There should be a round where somebody is totally vulnerable and totally eligible to be voted out, but we're literally like like stroking ourselves here, Tyler. No one cares. Like Probst doesn't care. They don't care. So like I'm tired of fighting a fucking battle. Like it used to be that way, but it's not that way anymore. So fuck it.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
What do you guys think about this? That at the end of the show, Jeff was talking about if you're 16, 17, 18 years old. You think they're going to have kids playing this season, next season?
I think, to me, that pretty much confirms that they are going to be filming Survivor somewhere in the US for 41. I don't, like, there's, like, so much, like, liability issues and stuff with, like, having kids travel to a different country for a television show in, like, a dangerous environment like Survivor. I think it's got to be, like, filmed in Hawaii or something like that, is my guess.
Interesting.
Could be.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm hoping... I wasn't the biggest fan of the blood versus water seasons, and I'm hoping this doesn't turn into like families competing.
Like, I mean, no offense, but I don't want to talk about 41. I want to talk about 40. Like,
No.
can we just talk about 40? Like,
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
no.
Because I got shit to say about 40.
Go ahead.
Okay, let's talk about the final 6 tribal.
Can we please talk about that?
Yeah. Because Brett, I'm sure you have some thoughts about that. Let's start before we get to the vote. Let's talk about Sarah's like gender bias discussion, because I thought that was really, really interesting. And I really admired how Jeff like starts to acknowledge that, you know, maybe I favored like the men over the course of Survivor's history because I can relate to them. Yeah, I'm like, maybe. And then Denise doesn't get a single confessional in her boot exit.
What the fuck? She doesn't get any screen time, and they're like, yeah, this whole gender bias thing, and then it's like, bye, Denise, and we're like, I thought that's why Sarah might be going, because she got all the screen time.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, I don't know. That was interesting.
Yeah, but I want to hear from you guys. Why don't you guys think that Natalie and Michelle tried to get Denise to take out Sarah at this vote instead?
Because I've read their confessionals after the show, and Natalie, this is to look. I'm gonna dump on Sarah a ton, but this is to her credit. Okay, to her credit, she made herself to seem more malleable and more social than Denise. They had a terrible view of Denise. Denise was stubborn, was not willing to talk with them, not willing to entertain anything. And Sarah, at least to a man, she was like, or to a woman, whatever. I'm used to saying that. Sorry, I should stop saying that. She was able to convince them that she was open enough to turning on Tony or Ben or anybody for that matter, so that they were like, you know what, we'd rather keep her. Because I really do feel like that they probably should have taken out Sarah there. I was astounded when they took out Denise 4-0, but Denise was like, to be honest, like kind of the listening, like, okay, I'm using, this is my read on listening to Natalie and listening to Michelle. Denise is kind of a bitch.
Yeah, no, and she admits it. She admitted it in her stuff that she was like, I was over the game. She was not ready for that level of gameplay and how crazy everybody was like and paranoid, and that really got to her. And she admits that like you could see it from the moment that she snapped at Jeremy, and from then on she was just kind of over it. Yeah,
Denise is somebody that just wants to vote like A, B, C. Like she doesn't want to think about D, E, F, G. Okay, and that's a good thing about Natalie. That's a good thing about Tony. That's about it right there. Like
no, honestly, and that's exactly that. Like Sarah also only wants to think A, B, C, but she was socially smart enough over Denise in this situation to appear as if she's open to EFG.
Yeah, I'll give her that. So good for her, because that saved her ass at the final 6 when she probably should have been going home. She made it through because of her social game. So I will give her that. However, I really have to come for all of these people for their terrible gameplay at the final 6. Like seriously, Tony should have gone home. He tried to tell. I literally watched the scene back today. He tried to tell everybody. Okay. Tried to tell everybody, like, she might have an idol. Why not just split the votes 2-2? And he almost lost the plot for a second. He's talking to Sarah, and he's going, I don't want you to go home by accident. Why don't you, me, and Ben vote for Denise? And you don't even need to do that. You don't need Ben for this. Like, if Ben doesn't want to vote for Denise on moral grounds, or he loves Denise, or he told her he'd never write her name down, fine, but you can use the out as, you know what, Ben, you can vote for Natalie, Denise can vote for Natalie, and then the two of us, we can vote for Denise, because we didn't promise Denise anything. That way, it's at least 2-2, and then if Natalie plays her idol, then she goes. Then Denise goes home, and if Natalie doesn't play her idol, then Natalie goes home. That's all you need to do. There is 2-2. Beth, I don't understand how they didn't go this route.
I don't understand why they didn't go that route. I'm also like, I kind of want to move forward to talk about this one too, right? If Ben's going to just lay down his fucking life in the game, and the next tribal.
Why not do it here instead?
Just do it here. Don't play a fucking idol for yourself. Play it for either Denise or Sarah, who you clearly care more about. Like, that just drove me crazy. Like, the idea that, like, oh, I'm gonna save myself, and now I feel bad because I made one of the 2 closest people that I'm friends with that I want to take that friendship more than $2 million in the crown. Like, I want to take that away.
I feel like we all know that, and I tried to give him the benefit of the doubt. You know that of the winners that were on this season, the one winner that I absolutely could not stand was Ben Driebergen, and it's because I love Chrissy. I think Chrissy should have won that season.
Yes.
The twist was bullshit. They didn't know it was coming. All of that. But he's on the season. I'm trying to be fair to him. He has an okay social game. People like him. I don't think he had a chance in hell to win. No. But still, he was in lockstep with Tony and whoever else. Even after Tony backstabbed him at whatever tribal council, I can't remember, when Sophie went home, he was still like in lockstep with Tony. Fine, but he did not have the level of gameplay that was necessary to be on a season like this. And we were one sandbag inch away from Ben being in the finals and Tony being out of the final 5. Like that immunity challenge. I don't know. Honestly, I know people were like, when going back to what we were talking about, Beth, when we saw the footage of Tony looking for the idol in the middle of the night, and I thought for sure he was going to find it, especially because he was so happy in his confessional talking about it. I really thought for sure he was going to find the idol. And then when he didn't, I was like, oh my God, Tony, like, I know there are no other idols. Right. Tony is vulnerable at the final 5. He has to win immunity here or he is gone.
Right.
And he did. And he did. Like, he had the moment where I was like, you're up against the wall. You have nothing else to save you. And you come through with shining colors. I just love that about him. And that's why I can celebrate Tony as the winner of this season in the face of so many other things that I didn't like.
Right.
Oh, absolutely. Like, I do want to say, like, Tony absolutely deserved the win. I've been like shitting on him this season because like his antics just drive me crazy. Yes.
Kind of like the shit on your head.
Yeah, exactly. But no, Brent, I totally agree that like what's his name? Ben was just totally like on a different level of gameplay than like anybody else here. And it really showed. Like, he laid down the sword. What do you guys think was like the turning point for him to lay down his sword for Sarah? Do you think that
I'm going to be really cynical and say that he got Sarah was talking to him and he got the feeling that she was going to vote him out anyway.
Right.
And he was just like, you know what? I'll let you have this.
Do you guys think that he was realizing that he was drawing dead? Like, there was no way, like, out of any combination of people left, there was no way for him to win in the end.
No, I don't think so, because people are always the hero of their own story, of their own narrative. Like, I think he thinks he could win them over. You don't think?
No, I think that I could see it both ways. I could see him being like, no, I'm a hero, blah, blah, blah. I could do this, like to your point. But I also could see him saying, I don't know if I stand a chance against other people. I do think that him having to vote Denise home did take a mental toll on him. And I think that he was afraid that he wouldn't, like, if I end up having to go against Sarah, like, am I going to lose both of the friends that I thought I made out of the season? Like, so I think that there was probably some aspect of that into it as well. But
so,
I don't know.
Not only do I not want to talk about 41 much, I don't want to talk about Ben that much. Like, I feel like we know what we get with Ben. He's terrible. Like, let's talk about the people that actually mattered. Like, Sarah, we didn't really go over this very much. The final 6, she has a big epiphany moment where she's like, I felt really bad coming out of my season because people were making me feel bad, and I didn't like the way I felt, and I've carried around all that baggage since about the fact that which I have talked about multiple times on RHAP, especially with Big Brother, how men get away with everything, everything, and women get away with nothing. Like, you literally have to thread the needle so hard if you're a woman. If you want to get away with half the shit that the men do, like when a man does something, when he lies, when he cheats, it's him playing the game, it's him being sneaky, it's him being strategic. When a woman does it, she's the bitch, she's the Black Widow, she's the villain. Exactly.
You know who tried to say that? I loved this tweet I saw. You know who tried to say that on Kaguya, and she got totally like shat on for it? Cass. She said this years ago, and
which
everybody
Cass has
ignored
something
her.
to say about that. Yes. The one time I was on Survivor, this is Cass talking on Twitter. This one time I was on Survivor, and President Lucina told me Tony didn't have an idol, and well, now they're both on Winners at War, and I'm having to mute Spencer because he's in his own tweet tornado. 2020 is fucked up.
I love it. Allison, what did you think about Sarah's spiel about like how women have this have a much harder road, and it shows with like the inequality of like female winners to male winners recently too. What do you think about like what she said at that tribal?
I totally agree with her. I mean, and I really like the fact that Jeff owned it and was like, you know, I kind of do give men more credit than I
was
do
not
women.
expecting that.
I couldn't believe they left it in. I'm not amazed that he said that in front of them. I'm surprised that they left it in as an editing choice.
I think after Island of the Idols, I think they're like, we got to pay a little bit more attention.
That's very true. Yeah, I mean that's very true.
Yeah. So what do you think about that? I mean, like, do you think that like is he going to start calling? Like, I love the fact that Sarah was like, even though like you can look, I think her motives are suspect. Okay, I think that she's also playing to the jury. She's aware 100%. That Tony is a big opponent, that she might have to face him in the finals, and that she's going to have to beat him if she wants the $2 million. That's a lot of money. She wants it, and she's annoyed that Tony is being perceived in her eyes as playing the better game. Because remember, Natalie came back from the edge. She's talking about all this bullshit. We haven't even talked about Natalie coming back, by the way.
Right.
And, like, she's got all this information and is telling them all that Tony is the man. The jury loves Tony. Like, he's going to win if he gets to the end. And she's like, you know what? Fuck that. Like, I've played every step of the way with Tony, which she hasn't actually. There've been times where Tony's gone off and done his own thing, and she hasn't been a part of it.
That were successful in the game and left her in the dust. So that's exactly my point that I wanted to bring up. Do you guys feel, because I'm pretty strong about this, if you know that you and your one partner that in a game have played a very overtly flashy game, you're the ones that have been really driving the gameplay, all that kind of stuff, do you want to sit next to somebody who has a competing resume with you at the end? I think not. I think that you want to try to get them out towards the end so that you're the lone person standing there, which is why I couldn't understand why Tony and Sarah, despite their really close relationship, I get that. But like, why aren't they targeting each other earlier? I was almost expecting Tony to vote out. Why was Tony like not thinking about getting rid of Sarah? Like,
yeah, I mean, the biggest surprise to me was that like Cops R Us was like pretty loyal, like to the very end. Like,
I think that's
all season.
It's a reflection of the game, because they know, look, getting to the final 2, getting to the final 3, that doesn't mean shit anymore.
Right.
Like, you can't promise anybody a final 3 anymore. You can't say it's you, me, and her until the end. They can't promise that because of the mechanisms of the game, because it's a final 4 twist fire making bullshit where the immunity person has to save somebody and then somebody else makes fire against the other person. Like, that's the reason why nobody can make those deals anymore. So they have no reason to really turn against each other. They're just like, you know what? We'll go to the end at the final 4. And we'll settle it then, like men and women. And it really, I feel like it stagnates gameplay, because they know that there's no reason for them to turn against each other.
That's exactly my point. So say that like Tony had flipped. He came to this realization, hey, Sarah's got a competing resume with me. I'm against Ben, Denise, Natalie, and Michelle. Okay, Natalie might be the only competing person at this point if I get rid of Sarah. But then it's still Natalie, Michelle on the bottom, and then you have Denise and Ben, who you probably won't feel as bad about cutting at the final 5 as you would.
Like, I don't hold Tony accountable for it at all, because he was the odds-on favorite to win. He can take Sarah to the end and beat her. He knows that. He's feeling that. I'm looking at Sarah as that's the problem. Yeah. Why doesn't Sarah think about turning on Tony? I'm kind of, in some ways, I'm really bummed that he won immunity at the final 5. Not really, but I am kind of bummed because it would have been fun to see her actually have to confront the fact that she might have to vote out Tony there at the final 5. Would she have done it?
That's a really hard question. I don't think so, to be honest. I don't think she pulls the trigger on taking him out. She's been like very blindly loyal to him the entire season. And especially how like there's been like an overarching theme this season of like the mental toll that like Survivor takes on you even years after you play and win. I think that Sarah really confronted some really dangerous like demons inside of her this season, and I think that it would really have prevented her from like pulling the trigger on Tony.
Yeah, I agree.
To interrupt, I don't think YouTube is on. I think YouTube crashed.
I just checked and we're still live on YouTube, but I don't think comments and viewers are showing.
When I go to our page,
I still see we're still live on YouTube.
Yeah, I see that. So when you click on like for me subscriptions, because it has us live, it brings me to our page and nothing's loading, and then it says there was an error.
I think it's a bug with like YouTube, because I bring up subscriptions and it says there's a temporary issue loading like anything. Okay. So, but
okay, well, if you're I'll put it this way: if you're out there and you're listening and we're still live, send me a tweet like right now, like literally right now. Actually, you can respond to the tweet that I put out a few minutes ago when I was saying, "Hey, we're live," or you can just like at me at One Lucky Gay and let us know that we're live. Otherwise, we're just gonna keep going.
Yeah, but anyway, so what I was talking about, how like I really enjoyed how we saw from multiple people this season how just it's so taxing on you. Like there's so much like trauma related to Survivor and the experience of playing and everything. And I think it really weighed heavily, much more than I thought, on Sarah, especially coming down the home stretch here. So I don't think she would have pulled the trigger on taking out Tony.
I really think that I also think it weighed heavily on Ben, which is why you saw him have that kind of reaction with Sarah and with Denise. I think that there are people who, especially if they're controversial winners or come from seasons that people didn't particularly like or whatever the case might be, oftentimes the winner is not the person that America wants to root for. America wants to root for the underdog or the person who was robbed or whatever the case might be. You see this in other reality shows all the time. It's not normally the person who wins Drag Race, for example, is not the most popular queen from that season. Normally it's like the person who got like 5th and didn't make it to the last, bit there. So I honestly feel like that when you win a game on top of coming into a game where they throw the kitchen sink at you, and you're trying to navigate against the best and have this title, not only just $2 million, but this title of the best winner of all time, it really makes you question everything about like how you're treating people both in and out of the game. And like, are you going to be perceived as a bigger bitch if you win than you did before? So I can see why Sarah would have that feeling, because I do think that a lot of her castmates really did not like her after the season. They voted for her because they knew that she played the best game, but they were like, friendship over, but done, And I think that having all of that pressure obviously got to people this season.
Yeah, by the way, we are still live. Everybody can hear us. They are saying that YouTube has a little bug where it keeps cutting out and they keep having to refresh every like 30 seconds or so. So bear with us here while YouTube is screwing with us. And we'll keep going.
Yeah, what's up, Allison?
This has been plaguing me a little bit. If it had turned... Just a what if scenario, just humor me for 2 minutes. What if the final 3 had been Natalie, Sarah, and Michelle?
I would have loved that. Personally,
go ahead. I would have loved it too. Do you think Lucina would have won hands down? Do you think?
Nope.
No, I think Natalie would have.
Natalie would have? Yeah. See, I keep flip-flopping back forth.
I think it would have been close. But I think Natalie went like 10-6 or 9-7. Like I don't think, and there's people saying they think otherwise, and that's fine. My read on the situation is that Natalie would have won. Like I just don't think they were connected enough with Sarah in order to want to vote her the winner.
I think it depends on how Sarah gets there, right? Like, is Sarah the one that beats Tony in this fire making instead? Is that how it happens? I think that's a really, really big moment that the jury sees. Like, especially if they've been saying all season, Tony's the one that has been pulling all the strings. We've seen like plenty of winners from Survivor Big Brother where their biggest resume move is taking out the biggest threat right at the end. It's very exciting, something for all of people on edge of extinction to see happening right in front of them. I think that does get a few votes from the jury. I think it could happen. I really do.
I also think if it was all 3 of those women in the final 3, I think Michelle would have at least gotten 1 or 2 votes as well.
Yeah,
I think it would have been even more even dispersed. She didn't get any. I honestly think that for the game that she played, she explained it really well, and she also had a really great end game, which relied on a lot of social relationships, a lot of winning immunities when she needed to, kind of shaking up the game with Natalie. I think that there was a lot of moves there that she could rely on, and I think that if you have Sarah there, I went through and I listened to all of the jury members before they went into the final tribal council, like with their opinions on the final 3. And I think Michelle might have been able to get a couple of them. I think the people who voted for Natalie would have voted for Natalie anyway. But there was a part of me, I feel like Denise might have voted for Michelle because Michelle's game was very similar to Denise's. And it's also how she won Philippines was very similar to Michelle's game in this game. So I honestly, like, I think that there was a couple different ways that she probably would have gotten some votes. That would have made for a much more exciting final tribal, in my opinion, in terms of how the votes laid out. But all in all, I was very impressed with all three members of their final threes. I thought they all really explained their game, took ownership of moves that they did and their social relationships really well. I think there was a misplay by Natalie for interrupting Tony at that one moment.
Yeah, I was like, no, don't do that. I just let him talk and then speak when it's your turn. Jesus, I hate that crap.
Yeah.
I can't, because I'm still kind of pissy with the whole, let's whisper during tribal council crap that goes on now.
So honestly, I think Natalie and Michelle had better final tribal performance than Tony. Tony like really misstepped and didn't truly answer like any of the questions. Like he just took like his opportunity to speak and he made like a comedic performance out of it. Like he got everybody laughing, talking about the spy nest and everything like that. But it was not in terms of like answering any questions. I feel like Natalie and Michelle really did a lot better with giving the jury like what they thought they needed to hear.
Yeah.
Brent's shaking his head.
So Tony gave them exactly what they needed to see, which is Tony's still fucking crazy and somehow I'm here. And that alone is impressive. On top of all the things they saw him do in the game, like they saw his gameplay and then they heard it in the island. They didn't see Michelle's gameplay. They didn't see
Natalie's gameplay because she isolated herself on the edge. Like she even talked about it in her interviews today that she really wasn't. She didn't like being around all that people and all that like energy. It just really brought her down. So she really did isolate herself on the edge, which I really do think actually cost her some votes here to the point where I think she actually might have won. Like if she was more of a go along to get along person at the edge, like Chris Underwood, maybe she does actually take it home here. By the way, I'm having a discussion with Rob Cesternino on Twitter right now because I was talking on Twitter how that I firmly believe that the cast of this season, after the reaction of the Edge of Extinction in 38 and Chris Underwood winning and the fan reaction to that they felt an extra sense of pressure to get this right. And Rob is like, well, they left for they left for Fiji the next day. I don't think they're really scrolling through Twitter.
No, it was
worrying
immediate.
about right. Like that's what I'm trying to tell Rob. Like it was instantaneous when Chris Underwood was crowned the winner. They don't need to wait till the next day. All they have to do is watch the next couple of hours. All the tweets and social media roll in that are just literally saying that Survivor has jumped the fucking shark. And how in the hell does a guy who got voted off on day 11 get $1 million? Like, how does that happen? And then, of course, you have the jurors who were defending that all through the night. And so they saw enough to know that the fans did not like it. Now, as to who specifically switched their votes because they wanted to vote for Natalie, but they didn't want the fans mad at them, I think it was a combination of that and the fact that they were really worried, as many of them have talked today, they were really worried about the fact that Natalie might actually have the votes to win. There were a lot of people who wanted to vote for Michelle. Nick specifically talked about this in his Instagram post where he wanted to vote for Michelle. Michelle was his ride or die. He loved Michelle. He rooted for her. He would love to see her win. But he was concerned that there might be some weird 7 to 6 to 5 split where Natalie won Survivor, and they just did not want to let that happen.
I hate that so much.
They were really concerned. They were really concerned, Rob, about taking their positions as jurors seriously and to make sure the right person won. So in that respect, I would say that they felt the pressure from the social media reaction of Underwood, and they wanted to make sure that they got this right. And in my opinion, they did.
I think they got it right too. Would you guys have been mad if Natalie won?
Yes, I said this when Chris won. It's the Survivor at its core is outwit, outlast, outplay. She was the first of 20 voted out. Like, yes, she worked her ass off on Edge of Extinction.
That's a whole other game.
But however, when she came back to Survivor, when she won the challenge to come back in, she was never vulnerable at Tribal Council because she won immunity. She had 2 idols. Like, there was no point where Natalie could have been taken out the entire rest of the game until final tribal.
Here's the thing. I would not have been mad, but I would have been annoyed. And
Yes.
I think it's because Natalie's such an amazing person. We all love her. And it was like really hard to watch her be the first boot of the season. And also we absolutely hate the fact that Jeff Probst brought back this terrible fucking twist that we literally wanted to give a big fuck you to Probst. So like that's how I was. Like, this is your baby. You made your bed, now lay in it. Seriously, YouTube is fixed, by the way. Like, if you didn't bring back the edge, this wouldn't have happened. So I would have been okay with Natalie winning because she's such an amazing person and I love her, that I would have been cool, but I wouldn't have loved it in that Tony wouldn't have got rewarded for his amazing play. Like, he deserved the money.
So say that Chris Underwood hadn't won Edge of Extinction. Say that like Gavin did or something like that, right? And then Natalie wins this one. Is it a better win? Or do we not have those feelings as much as we might have had Chris Underwood?
I mean, I in some ways, I feel like Underwood and the whole thing with that made me more accepting of a Natalie potential win here. Like, I mean, I was kind of like, I was resigned to the fact that the Edge of Extinction winner is probably going to win this if Tony doesn't get to the end. Like, I felt like Tony was such an enigma that the only way that somebody was going to beat him was to get him out before the final three. Like, that was it. If you didn't get him out before the final three, you weren't going to win. And he's such an amazing person. I even tweeted this out yesterday, I think, where it sort of annoys me that Natalie, like literally the first boot of the season, would have become the winner of all winners on season 40 if not for the fact that Tony was able to get a goddamn beanbag on the stand at the final 5 in the moment that he did. I mean, we were that close to the unthinkable happening. So, yeah, let's count our blessings.
I was dying during that competition. Watching Survivor with me, Chris or Captain Obvious said, I was sitting with my feet up like this. I wasn't even really responding to y'all chats. I was just like, I'm gonna.
We all been like, we started messaging each other. Like, we have like our own like little chat beforehand. We were messaging each other in the beginning, and then like hour 2 came, and it was like one message, and then hour 3 came, and there was no talk.
Dead silence. I'm freaking out because, like I said, I know like when Sarah's flame was going on, I know it was because of all the husks, but my mind isn't going, oh my God, Sarah's gonna win. It's, oh my God, Sarah's gonna win, and I'm never gonna hear the end of this from Tyler. I'm not gonna wear the poop out.
So let's actually talk about Natalie a little bit more. She got back from Edge of Extinction, almost blew it, having 3 advantages.
Yeah. That was hard to watch. Like, I was with my mom and dad, and of course, you know, my dad can barely hear, so it's basically me and my mom. And we were so ready for Natalie to come back, and she was asking me beforehand, who do you think's going to come back? And I'm like, well, the editing is basically telling us that it's going to be Natalie. So, but then again, I've been surprised before. Like, I thought Devins was going to win his season, and then he didn't. So I was like, it could be anybody. Could be Tyson. Like I said, I feel like there's a couple people that it couldn't be, but then again, I never saw Underwood coming. So I'm like, it literally could be anybody. Who the F knows? And
who would have been the most shocking person to come out of Edge of Extinction?
Amber or Danny. I feel like
I would say Wendell, given like how like negative his overall edit was this season. Like when he was like in the lead momentarily, I was like, wait, like did Survivor, like the editors really bury this guy in the editing only to like have him come back at the very end?
Do you want to talk about that really quickly?
Yeah, I do.
Like Wendell was somebody else. I mean, I really feel, is this the same guy that?
I'm also
it's the
really
same guy. No, he's saying on social media, the fans are reporting that he said that Parvati was such a bitch on the island and was so entitled, and he didn't really like that, and he was fighting against her, and that's why they buried him in the edit. That's what he's saying, at least. So
I don't believe that to be true at all. I was also very disappointed that he didn't vote for Michelle in the end. That's like one vote I thought like he would be like a big enough person to say like, listen, like I gave you so much shit the time that we were together. Like I'm gonna give this to you. And like you said about, I thought Michelle would get Nick, and I thought Michelle would get Wendell.
I think she would have, but like this is what I was trying to say to Rob. Like I feel like they wanted to make sure the right person won this. They wanted to make sure they got this right. They took their job seriously. So you can say it's a combination of Underwood and the fact that it's a winter season. Whatever. At the end of the day, they wanted to make sure they got it right, and they switched their votes from Michelle to Tony to make sure the right person won.
Yeah, look, here's the thing. Wendell's not going to give Michelle a vote. The guy, I got the feeling like he ghosted her or something bad went down. And I'm like, this guy didn't even want to be around her I mean, it was just, I got an uncomfortable feeling when they were around each other. Like when two people that used to date come around and it's weird because somebody, I'm like, I don't want to do this. But yeah, no, I'm not shocked that he didn't vote for her.
I do want to say that, like, I really enjoyed that we got a little time after the Edge of Extinction challenge was over to hear from some of these people. I thought that was so special, and I thought, if we don't get a reunion and we get to see like a little bit more of this, like I'm okay with because.
Yeah, why did they have them all 20 there when they didn't talk to any of them? Like they had all 20, they showed all 20 of them.
Well, somebody on Twitter pointed out that like Rob and Amber had the same exact painting in the background, so like I don't even think it was live them all together.
Except for the three, obviously, at the end when they were reading the votes.
Oh, really? So we don't think they were live. Okay.
I don't think they were live at the time. Yeah. But I do. So I actually was talking about this with my dad because leading up, they kept saying there was going to be an hour reunion. I don't know if they ever changed that in the press. So I think that there was probably some kind of technical difficulty that they couldn't sustain at the quality that they wanted for a broadcast. I hope that we do get a reunion sometime.
We're not gonna.
I know. I hope that they do.
I was a clock watcher. I was watching the time the whole entire time. I'm like, look, we're getting close to like 2 hours and 56 minutes. We're not going to win our entry. What's going on here? And I was kind of sad that we really didn't get to hear much from Tony after he was. But I was watching them as they read the names, and Natalie's face was just stone. Like even Michelle had emotion, but like as soon as it was Tony was the winner, she was just.
Yeah, and you know what I didn't like that Jeff did for like the first time ever? He was like, and there you guys, this is live. You could see the face of people losing. You could see and I was like, the fuck is wrong with you, Jeff?
Thanks, Jeff.
Again, I wanted to be like, hey, remember that gender bias? Would you have said that if Tony fucking lost?
Right.
Jeff's been full of shit the last couple of seasons anyway, calling people out and saying all kinds of
never done that kind of shit in the final three. You don't see him in the live show in Los Angeles going like, and so-and-so won, and the loser's hugging the winner over there. Now go hug your family winner. Look at the looks of depression on the like, come on.
Yeah, I think that he has a lot to answer for still about the way that he treats women and men disproportionately on the show, and that was a good example of it. I will also say that they were talking about it in the RHAP group, and Kirsten McInnes was the person who was like, I just love it that Probst is like, we don't treat women equally to the men, and let's go to the men to talk about that and see how they feel about it.
Yes. Yes.
Man, how do you feel about the sexism against women? Let's hear it.
Yeah, Tony, what do you feel about? How do you feel about this? Like, do you think that women are not treated as equally as the men in the eyes of the jury? What do you feel about that? And like, whatever, like, fine.
Yeah.
So, Brent, I have a Tony question for you. Do you think Tony can win Survivor without a Trish or without a Sarah?
I mean, maybe not.
So. I don't think so. I really don't.
But you mean a ride or die?
What's that?
A ride or die.
Yeah, totally. And somebody we had a confessional at the beginning of the final. Sarah says, I've lived 36 days on this island trying to calm Tony down. And I was
that
like,
was in her bullshit interview about how she was just trying to tell Tony, like, chill, man. Like, we got this. Natalie does not have an idol. Come on. I've talked to her for a day. Like, I read her. She would have told me if she had an idol, even though I'm totally writing her name down tonight. Like, what?
But it's more than a ride or die. It's somebody that needs to calm him down and put out like these tiny fires around him all the time. And I just that's my question about Tony's win is like, how great of a Survivor player is he if he doesn't have this ride or die, somebody to kind of put out these fires around him? I feel like we get a game changer's Tony. We get a second boot because he's just like way out of control.
Maybe. Like, here's the thing. I feel like he did plenty of stuff without Sarah throughout the season. I mean, he didn't have Sarah with him all the time.
She wasn't in that tree with him.
There on his tribe for when they had the tribe swap, and then he did the Sophie boot without her, and then was like, she was like, God damn it, you, and then he was like, no, we're cool, man. Like, he was the one calming her down. She was yelling at him. So I mean, like, if you want to talk about a symbiotic relationship, maybe, but as far as having someone to like babysit Tony, I reject that.
That's true. The Sophie vote was like a huge, Tony only move. And I feel so bad for Sophie. I just want to say that. Like, she looked like death at that final.
She did. When everyone was clapping about, oh, yes, this is so good. Everybody's a winner here. She's just kind of like, I can't get up.
I hope she's okay.
Laugh, travel, puking and everything. I can't do this.
Have I ever this is weird, I know, but I know it's rained at tribal council before, right? Mm-hmm. So doesn't the jury normally have like an awning or something where like they don't have to get wet? Like, they're the jurors, they're in good clothes.
Yeah, they wanted it for the drama, but I think it really rushed the final tribal.
Yeah, I didn't like that. Like, they're literally like shivering, the jury's shivering. I feel like there were questions that were not asked because people just want to get the fuck out of there.
Yeah, I mean, at one point they asked Tony, do you have like any other thoughts or something? And then they cut to Nick, and Nick's like, no, please, no, please.
Oh my God, listen, I'm such an empathetic person that I was shivering while I was watching that show. Yeah. Like, it's not even cold in here. I go, I know, but they're cold.
Yeah,
but that's the thing. Like, I kind of like, I get it. No, I definitely get that it's raining and you're cold and all those different kinds of things. But like, this is the final tribal council, and you bitches all get to go back to Ponderosa and get dry and get comfortable and such. Fucking stick it out. I don't know. Maybe I can't speak to what it's like out there.
Yeah, or I'll wear cowboy hats like Ben had.
Or like your sweaters and such. I thought it was funny. You could see people giving their sweaters and such to other people, and I wanted to be like, yes, every individual person who took off something is just sitting there like, oh, whatever. Love that. Yeah. Because that would be me. I'm like, I get cold now.
Were there any votes for Natalie that surprised you guys at the end? I was a little surprised that Ethan voted for Natalie.
I mean, Tony talked about that in his post-game interview. Like, he never even met Ethan. Ethan never even got to talk to Tony. So, of course, he's going to feel more connected to Natalie. He was on her original tribe, and then he was somebody who got to know her on the edge. So, I mean, you totally get that. Also, Parvati voting for that, I can tell Tony's really mad about that. Like, Tony, he brought it up in his post-game interview, how, are there any votes that you didn't get that you were thinking you might want to get? And he was like, Jeremy, I understood. Him and Natalie are like family. That's like a bond. Ethan, I never even met him. There was somebody else that voted for Natalie, who I'm forgetting now. Who was the fourth vote for Natalie?
Tyson.
Oh, Tyson. Yeah, well, that's explainable. When she gave him the idol and they have a good connection too. But also Parvati voting for Natalie, like, she respects the game. You want to vote for the person who respects the game the most and plays the best game. And she didn't do that in my eyes. And I feel like Tony is really butthurt about it. Like, he really wanted Parvati's vote. Also, the fact that Tyson was on Twitter, and actually go ahead and talk for a second. I'll read his exact tweet because I wanted to talk about his tweet and what he said about the reason that he voted for Natalie. Actually, here it is. He says, sorry, I'm getting there. He takes a lot of shit. What the fuck, Tyson? Where's it at? Oh, well.
All right. So
maybe Twitter's down as well.
Everything's going nuts.
I do think I didn't find Ethan that shocking, because I do think that the story we got from Ethan, we continue to get from him. And I got a lot of this in his post interviews, like his Ponderosa stuff as well. He's all about being a survivor, a cancer survivor, surviving edge of extinction, all that kind of stuff. And I don't think anybody on that final three represented a survivor more in his eyes than Natalie. So I think that that's probably where his vote went and why. I wasn't really shocked. I was like, oh, Ethan, that makes sense. Like, that's kind of like how I had a feeling with it. I wasn't shocked that Parvati voted for Natalie. I think that Parvati's the type of person that would prefer a strong female win. I think that's just how she's wired. I think that's fine. I also think that she spent a lot of time with Natalie. She and Natalie found that one extortion advantage together. That's
the reason why I was just going to address that. Yeah, like Tyson apparently deleted all of his tweets, but I remember what he said. I was just going to read it for edification, but he actually said that the reason that he voted for Natalie is because Natalie's a badass and Natalie's a friend of his, and he's going to, all things being equal, vote for a friend over somebody else any day of the week. And he would love for Natalie to have that 2 milli, as he called it, to spend and have a good time. And then I love the response to it, which was like, or you could vote for the person who played the best game, just a thought. And Tyson was obviously somebody who didn't give a fuck. Like, he doesn't care about Survivor. He doesn't care about like trying to get it right. He was just like, you know what? I love you. You're great. You can have $2 million.
I will say this though. To Natalie's credit. Okay. Her impact on the game itself, not Edge of Extinction, but just the game itself, was much higher than like Chris's was because of the fire tokens, because of all those things. So she did have an impact on it.
Yeah, I liked that.
And she really did own up to that, which both in like a, hey, this is all the stuff I did, but also was able to answer questions about that, I think, in a really effective way to turn everything into a positive.
Yeah, but I feel like that only calls into question, though, the reason why she was able to do all of that is because she was the first boot. Like, Kaz talked about this on her Twitter. Like, there's something wrong with Survivor when the person who is literally booted first has more of an advantage over somebody like Nick, who plays a really great game, gets to the final 6, I think. Yeah, final 6. And then
a fire token
has no chance to earn any fire tokens, has to give them up when he exits the game if he even had any to begin with, and that's that. And Natalie gets to just sit over there like, Daddy Warbucks and accumulate them on the Edge of Extinction. So I gotta fix that.
I 100% agree, and I think that I know that we've seen these inequities in other seasons, but I think the reason why they did it for this season in particular was because of the worry, like, what if all the big targets, what if Tony goes first? What if Sandra
Which is
goes
what
first?
happened. Like, let's say everybody but Tony that they love went. Like, all of the fun people, all the old schoolers, they all left. Yeah.
Right. And they built it in that way to be like a safety system just in case. And that's exactly what happened. That's exactly why producers did that. I don't think that they would take that twist and apply it the same exact way in the future. Just like, I feel like, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I don't see them doing that in the same exact way like this in the future. I think that what they basically wanted to see was, if the old school people get out, let's hope that one of them makes it back in, which didn't happen. It was Natalie, who I consider like a mid-schooler. So I understand from a production side of things why they did it like that, but I completely agree. You're basically incentivizing getting out earlier and being on edge for the entire day.
Brent, let me ask you a question. What is your opinion on a majority of the old schoolers going out first? Do you think that because the game has changed so much over the years, that had anything to do with it? Or what do you think about that?
I really don't. I just feel like most of the old schoolers were the biggest targets. Like, people were worried about Sandra. They were worried about Boston Rob. They were worried about Amber. They were worried about Ethan. They were worried about all these people that we know and love. Like, who the fuck's worried about Nick? Ben, Sarah, like, who cares about any of these people?
Right, it's because Rob and Amber are married. Sandra has won the game twice. I mean, Parvati is like one of the best players of all time.
I feel like that the reason why, if we want to blame somebody, we can blame production, because they put too many new school people on the season. If they would have put more old school people like Heidick, Tom Westman, Vesepia, like more people from the old school version of Survivor, they would have had, I think, a better shot to get to the end. Like, I don't feel like they're going to align with the Nicks and Bens and Sarahs of the world. They're going to vote with the people that they know and they care about. Like, I mean, and have some bit of history with. So, like, it's the same stuff that I talk about on Sequester with Audrey, where I'm like, you don't have to make it equal, like 10 and 10 with, alphas and betas. Like, you can actually have it like 15 alphas and 5 betas, and then maybe you'll get more alphas at the end, because I feel like they'll vote with themselves. Rather something on Survivor, if you do like 10 old school, 10 new school, and the old schoolers are the biggest targets, I feel like you're going to have problems, and the old schoolers are going to go home, which they did.
I also think it's disrespectful for Jeff to like really be pushing this narrative of like the old schoolers can't keep up with the new style of gameplay. Is like,
I didn't buy that at all. They were out there looking for idols. They were trying. They just I feel like they were the bigger targets, and they got a little unlucky.
I was watching this with my parents, Brent, last week. And of course, my dad keeps up with it, but my mom doesn't pay attention to anything. So I'm constantly having to pause it and explain what the hell is going on. And she just stops in the middle last week and goes, how come they didn't ask the first player, Richard Hatch, to come back, or that Tina lady?
Tina should have been there.
I think a lot of people would have loved to see them, and they were on the list. They had asked them. They had said, are you interested in something like this?" They said yes. We know Tina's been back. She would come back, and they've made peace with Richard. Like, he served his time. He paid his penance. He's good with CBS now, and he was on the cusp of coming back. I would have loved if they would have replaced Ben and
Nick.
Who? Sarah? Maybe. I'm sorry. I know a lot of you love Sophie. I didn't need to see Sophie again.
I'm there with you, Brent.
I know that RHAP loves her, and that's great and all. But
I love Sophie too.
If they would have replaced Sophie and Ben with Richard Hatch and Tina Weston, I feel like the old schoolers, number one, would have had more of a chance. And also, Agnes Angus brings it up in the chat, which is working now, which says that splitting them into small tribes of 5 gave the old school targets no room to maneuver. And I actually think that is like, I feel like old schoolers had more of a room to maneuver if you just make it 2 tribes, like just mix up the tribes, because if one has a majority of new schoolers, and the other one's going to have a majority of old schoolers, and then some of them are going to survive.
I do think that we're missing a point here, which is that the old schoolers literally voted themselves off in the first couple votes, though. Yeah. Like that was literally on them too.
Yeah.
They voted out.
That's true. You can blame Danny for a lot of it.
Danny blew up her own game, but they could have easily been like, okay, well, like Ben was also equally as bad in the very first couple episodes as well, but they didn't like punish him for it. They punished Danny for it. And so they voted out Danny, they voted out Amber, like they went through a few of these people and like they voted out Ethan. I mean, like it was.
I don't think they could see the writing on the wall. I think they needed to self-recognize. I also talked about this on Sequester, where you have to have some perception of yourself of what kind of a threat you are. Are you a major threat, a mid threat, or no threat at all to win the game? And if you have your own perception of that in your head, then you can make according decisions right. But if you can't do that, if you can't recognize who you are within the game that you're playing, then you're bound to your own mistakes to repeat them again and again. And that's what these people did.
Yeah. I was just impressed. My mom could remember. My mom can't get a movie title right. She calls me Ashley half the time, but you can remember Richard Hatch and Tina Weston.
Oh, I mean, same for my mom. I mean, that's why I was actually like, the one silver lining about Edge of Extinction this season is that like we got a whole season full of like Amber, Rob, Kim, Parvati, Yul, like these amazing greats of Survivor. And I just remember like, I grew up with these people, and I feel like it's just a really great bookend to a lot of these players, like probably last experience on Survivor. And so for that, I'm thankful. It was so special to hear from all of them at the end of that Edge of Extinction challenge, and the Ponderosa video.
Yeah, it really was. It really was nice to hear from them. I'm somebody who's kind of schmaltzy, and I love stuff like that, even if it does detract from other parts of the game. The fact that we got a 3-hour finale basically with no reunion whatsoever, I was okay with that, and I really loved hearing from. I liked hearing the honesty from Kim, where she was like, everybody said I played a perfect game last time, and I came this time, and I didn't play a perfect game, but I'm kind of at peace with that, and I totally understood where she was coming from. Like you played a good game, you played as hard as you could, you lost. Yeah, it happens.
Yeah,
And then Amber talking about the fact that, I've always felt bad about the fact that I won All-Stars. Even when you read my name, I knew that people really didn't actually like me. Really powerful. She was like, they just hated me less than they hated Rob, and I was like, oh my God.
I mean, we talked about Sarah holding on to that from Game Changers 2 years ago. Amber's been holding on to that since what, like 2005?
And Rob is so great. He always does so much to lift Amber up. He always talks about how she was the one who won first. Like when he didn't have his win, she was like, well, she's the winner of Survivor. I'm not. Like he never once said anything about his own game until he finally got a win. And then he was like, well, I only did it second after her. So I love the fact that he took the moment to say, that this woman is a champion. She's, she was out here for basically the entire time on Edge of Extinction. She came out here just for me. We love showing our kids something. I mean, it was a little bit like, a little bit stroking yourself, or you're like, you're talking about your own kids and everything, and Probst is salivating at the fact that when do the Mariana kids turn 18? Can we have them on the show, please?
Right.
If you're looking at Rob's Instagram, he has videos of like his young daughters with flint and machetes, like starting a fire, and I'm like, they are.
It's gonna happen. Yeah. Just prepare yourself. It's gonna happen. It's happened. Yeah. So I don't know. Anyway.
The old school I thought was funny is my son is 23, and when Survivor started, he was 4, and I was 23, and he used to sit in my lap and watch it with me and years went on, and he actually recognized the old school players because he doesn't watch it anymore. He didn't have any idea who any of these new people were.
Like I mean, like I just wanted to except for Tony, literally turn the season upside down. Basically, my same complaints about Sequester season 3, where I'm like, can all the people that lasted just can we go like that? That would be a lot more fun. But sometimes it just doesn't, the ball bounces another way, kids. So I can't explain it. By the way, somebody wanted to ask me about what I thought about the Final Four, the fire making between Tony and Sarah. I read Natalie's interview, and I kind of had the same reaction as well, which was that she thought that Sarah was going to be like, woman power, like we're all girl power. We're going to get to the final 3. We're going to beat Tony. But she said when she saw the final fire challenge start to unfold in front of her eyes, and Sarah was trying, but she was also saying good stuff to Tony along the way. And then when she exited, she was basically pumping up Tony on her way out the door. Natalie was like, gag. I thought she was all about us, but now it's clear that she's not. So I think Natalie definitely felt a little betrayed about the entire thing.
Yeah.
Unless we have any more thoughts, I know we have to do our bracket. I know you have to go.
I don't have to go anywhere.
Okay, cool.
No, my only significance in telling you guys that Taryn was going live at 8:00 is that I wanted to make sure that as many eyeballs as possible were on your show.
Okay, perfect, awesome. Well, I wanted to bring this up. Beth, do you think that you won the bracket, or do you think I pulled off the win? What do you think?
No, can you explain? Because I'm new to this, and I'm sure there are people watching who don't know what the fuck you're talking about. So can you please explain what you guys did?
So Beth and I went one by one, picking players at the beginning of the season, and you get points for immunity challenge wins, idol finds, idol plays, advantages, surviving tribal councils, all of that stuff.
It's a fire token from somebody in the way
out.
So
it's not winner take all. It's really point based on things that you have done in the game. Go ahead, Beth. What do you think?
Well, first of all, I have to say, full disclosure, I know for a fact I crushed your ass when it came down to points. But you did have the winner on your team, and I did not choose Tony. But I, thanks to Natalie finally giving me points. Because also, full disclosure, we did not award any points to anything that happened on EOE. Yes. So Natalie got 0 points for me the entirety of the season until last night. And then she ended up with
let me pull it up. So Natalie brought in 29 points in the final stretch of the season. And Beth, you were saying earlier, I think it was 2 weeks ago, this is a really great way to quantitate how much pool people had in the game and what all they accomplished and everything. Of course I had the winner, but Beth, you got the win, and not even close either.
Yeah, I do think that still, if you look at the people who have the most points, it shows how they engaged with the twist. For the exception of people who were on edge for a long time, we're talking purely within the context of just the game, not what they're doing to influence the game on EOA or anything like that. Yeah. If you're looking at just the game itself, I think this really does show what the edit is either not showing or it kind of tricks you into believing. I think a lot of people didn't think that Michelle or Denise had really kind of any impact on the game, but they did a lot. They found idols, they played advantages, they won immunities. They got a lot of fire tokens from people, so their social gameplay to a certain extent must have been pretty good. So I think that there's a lot of things like that if you look at how we structured this up, I think it's a pretty interesting look.
Cool.
So congratulations, Beth. And also congrats to, Allison's not here. I was going to say congrats to Allison for picking the winner again. Well, too bad. I'm not going to say it again. So yeah, I think that pretty much wraps it up for us. I know we have a season
for you, for the 4
of
you.
Well, yeah, that's just winner take all. So Allison won that. So yeah, that's what ended up happening there. And Allison's back. You missed it, Allison. I said congrats.
Bring it back up. Bring it back up one more time. I gotta see that. Hold on. Oh, wait a minute now. Hold on. Too colorful. There's 2 people that need to be in black and white. That's okay. But I just want to point out who has the winner. But you know what? You can take it down because we've been there, done that the last 3 games. Allison's picked the winner. And I know it's just rinse, repeat with me right now, Tyler. I know.
Once again, I am the loser here on this show is the moral of the story. But no, seriously, congrats, Allison. Once again, picking the winner. Very, very cool. We'll see who you pick for season 41 and keep a close eye on that.
Yeah, they said, I know that they are casting for Survivor 43 now. So they are full steam ahead with 41 and 42. So I think they're going to tape that relatively soon. And pay the editors overtime to get it on television for September of 2020.
Do you think they're still casting for 41 right now? Or do you think that they have...
I think they are set on who they are.
Okay.
Especially if they're talking about teenagers playing.
That's
I don't
true.
know if the teenagers thing is necessarily like right away. Like it could be, but like I could take that both ways.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was reading the chat. Yes. So I was going to tell people really quickly. Like I think I told people like Taryn's over there going live. He's going with Brendan from Sequester, who played in the Influencer.
Yeah.
Right. So they're talking about Survivor now. Also, Rob is going to stop by. So if you want to see Rob talking to Taryn, which is always very fun, honestly.
Yeah.
And I love when Rob is a guest on the show and not a host of the show because I feel like he's a little looser. That'll be really fun.
Our show.
For those of you who don't know, Sequester is having a Survivor mini on May 23rd. Audrey has released. For those of you in the comments who are like, Brent, can you give us some hints about no, I can't give you shit, but Audrey will give you plenty of hints when she releases the cast on this Saturday.
Saturday?
So 2 days from now she's going to release the cast. And also this Saturday, for those of you who are fans of Sequester, 2 things. Number 1, Kirsten McInnes, myself, Puya, Jenny, all the people from RHAP are going to be live on Kirsten McInnes' Twitch channel. Bethy will be there as well. Cool. We're going to be live. We're going to be broadcasting Sequester for Friday and Saturday. We may do Sunday too. I don't know. But on Saturday on SequesterAccess.com is the Heroes versus Villains Sequester, where they're going to bring back 20 people from the last 7 weeks of Sequester minis. The people that you love and the people that you hate. And
so you guys are on that season?
No.
You guys are on that game or no?
I'm not.
No, we're broadcasting it. Yeah,
okay.
like we're commentating on it throughout the break.
Okay.
On Kirsten McInnes' Twitch channel. Yeah, but no, I am not playing in that. I'm going to be broadcasting that, and there are going to be 20 people, 10 heroes and 10 villains who you know and love if you watch Sequester all over the past 7 weeks, and it's going to be really fun. So I'm excited about that. They're definitely like, in my eyes, like I'm guessing 20 walking targets of people who like are bigger than life, who normally play, who like probably can't get to the end because people just know that they're going to win. So I'm excited to see who wins that.
Yeah, I can't wait. There's been so many really great characters over the past few weeks, and I'm so excited to get into it.
Yeah.
We've also got some news coming up. Who's going to be on our show this Saturday?
Yeah, on Saturday, we're going to be doing a whole season 40 review of this past season, the all-winter season with Tommy Bracco from BB21. So
I saw that.
Him on. We'll talk about our favorite moments from the season, what we think some of the themes were, and kind of go more into an overview of the season as a whole, rather than tonight, which was mostly about just the finale. Right. So we're excited to have him.
It's so funny when I saw you guys tweet that when you said Tommy Bracco, like I couldn't remember the last name. I thought it was Tommy from Survivor 39. Like,
that would be fun too.
I know, right?
No, so Tommy's going to be interesting because he's a newer viewer to Survivor. This was actually his first Survivor season that he's watched all the way through. So we want his perspective as someone who maybe didn't know all these characters going into the season. Like, what are your thoughts on this game, having played another CBS reality show? So I can't wait to pick his brain and get his perspective on things.
The people are asking what time is that going to be Saturday? I can't even remember.
It's going to be 7 Eastern, 6 Central. Okay. And we'll go live with him, and then afterwards is where you'll catch Brent and myself. I might be a little late to the party, depending on how late that goes. For the Sequester mini, which starts at 8 on Saturday.
Yep.
Also, with Big Brother being up in the air.
We are going to do sorry, go ahead. I'm just so excited about this. We are going to be rewatching Big Brother 10 and giving our thoughts, because Beth has not watched Big Brother 10. And she doesn't have any spoilers. She doesn't know anything about it except it's the best season of Big Brother. And so I can't wait to rewatch that season again.
Like Beth, you don't even know who wins season 10?
I'm sure she knows who wins.
Yeah, I think, isn't it Dan?
Yes.
I don't know.
She knows the winner, but that's literally the only thing she knows. So.
Yeah, like I don't know anything else about it. I don't know like alliance names or anything like that.
Okay, cool.
Full disclosure, I started watching Big Brother with BB16, just watched it as a TV casual viewer, and then because my friend was on season 17, I watched the
Who was?
Steve Moses.
Steve Moses, the winner of season 17, yes.
I started watching the feeds after that. I since went back, watched 15, and was like, what the fuck was this season? So I haven't watched any of the other ones, which I know is 15's the worst. But so I'm excited to go through and watch it and have shows kind of where I can provide the fresh take on it.
Yeah.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah.
Cannot wait. All right, well, there you guys have it. We'll see you guys on Saturday. Make sure you like and subscribe to YouTube, all that stuff. Subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts too, please. And give us a 5-star review there if you can, please, and thank you. And everybody go check out Terrence's stream after this so the fun can continue.
Yes, and that's on Twitch, I believe, right? His Twitch channels.
I think it's on it's RHAP. I think it's on YouTube, actually.
Oh, okay. Perfect. All right. Well,
thank you so much, Brent, for coming by, and you guys can follow Brent at One Lucky Gay.
One Lucky Gay, and she is.
And you'll get all the tea. So make sure that you're following Brent if you're not already.
Yes, Allison. Any last words before we head out?
This is Oliver, the kitty, the little Maine Coon.
Hello, kitty.
This is Finley's arch nemesis, and I'm probably going to get
seen the photos, and they are.
He looks so happy that you're holding him like that.
Oh my God, he looks just like Natalie last night after.
Stop it.
No, guys, Brent, thank you so much for coming on. We love having you. We really appreciate you taking time out to do it. And guys, you can follow him on Twitter. One Lucky Gay, and you can find me on Twitter at Summers SOMMERS 1977, and Beth and Tyler on their handles you can see in the window. Also follow us on Instagram at My Weekly Meltdown, and like and subscribe to the channel. You'll get notifications when we go live, and please go over and check out, as always, Rob has a podcast. This channel would not be here without that channel. So there you go. We love Rob and everybody over there. So guys, thank you so much for watching. I'm sorry if it was choppy tonight. I don't know what was going on with YouTube, but I'm going to end the barcast. And I just want to say, Tyler, thank you for being a sport. Yeah. Wearing the poop hat.
It was too itchy. I had to take it off, but here we go. That's
and ignoring my gloating last night about it after the show.
Yeah. All right, go ahead and end it.
Okay. All right, bye guys.
Bye. God, I